My mother used to say that some people come into your life to teach you lessons, and some come into your life to be the lesson. My husband, Marcus, I now realize, was the final exam. When I first met Marcus, I thought he was my rock. I was adrift, you see. My mother, Eleanor, had been my entire world. She wasn't just my mom. She was my best friend, my confidant, my champion. She was a brilliant woman, a quiet genius who had built a successful boutique accounting firm from nothing, all while raising me on her own. She was meticulous, sharp, and had a radar for insincerity that I, unfortunately, did not inherit. When she passed away from a sudden cruel illness, my world didn't just crack, it imploded. I was 26, and I felt like a child. Marcus was there. He was older, established, a financial manager at a mid-level firm. He handled everything. He held me as I cried. He arranged the funeral. He was strong when I was in pieces. A month after the funeral, we sat with her lawyer, Mr. Harrison. He was a cold man, someone my mother had used for business, but not someone I felt any warmth from. He read her will. It was simple and, I thought, incredibly generous. She had left her company, her portfolio, and the house to be split 50-50 between myself and her beloved son-in-law, Marcus. I remembered being stunned. 50-50, I had whispered to Marcus. He'd squeezed my hand, his face a perfect mask of humble gratitude. She must have known how much I love you, Alara, how I would always take care of you. It's too much. I believed him. I thought it was her final blessing, her way of ensuring I would be looked after. I was, after all, Alara, her sentimental child, as she used to say, with a loving smile. The only thing I asked for, the only thing I truly wanted from her estate, wasn't the house or the money. It was her locket. It was a simple, heart-shaped silver locket, scratched from decades of wear. It wasn't worth $20, but it was her. She never took it off. When I was a little girl and had a nightmare, I would crawl into her bed and hold on to that locket until I fell asleep, calmed by the steady beat of her heart beneath it. It was my most sacred object. I kept it in her old cedar-lined jewelry box on my dresser. I didn't wear it. I was too afraid of losing it. But every morning and every night, I would open the box just to see it. I would trace the engraved flowers with my fingertip. It was my ritual. It was my connection to her. Marcus, he tolerated this. In the first year of our marriage, he was patient. By the second year, his patience began to fray. He was a practical man, or so he claimed. He dealt in numbers, in assets. My grief, my sentimentality, he saw it as a flaw, a weakness. "Elara, honey," he said one night, watching me close the jewelry box. "It's been 2 years. Don't you think it's time to move on? It's just a piece of metal." "It's not just metal to me, Marcus," I'd replied, my voice tighter than I intended. I know," he'd said, patting my shoulder in that condescending way of his. "You're just so sensitive. It's your one big weakness. You care too much about things." That's what he called it. Junk, trinkets, things. He had become the CEO of my mother's company. He was in charge of everything, and I, lost in my grief, was grateful to let him be. I retreated into my quiet life, and holding on to my worthless piece of metal. I didn't realize that to a man like Marcus, a weakness isn't something to be protected. It's something to be exploited. The shift began slowly. It was the classic textbook story you read about. He started working late, merging the accounts, he'd say. Big client. He smelled different, a sharp, sweet perfume that wasn't mine. He bought new clothes, expensive suits. "It's for the business, Alara," he'd say, annoyed. "I have to look successful to be successful. You wouldn't understand." I felt myself shrinking. The house, my mother's beautiful, sun-filled house, started to feel cold. He was a visitor, a stranger who slept in my bed and signed the checks. Then, one rainy Tuesday, the bottom fell out. I had a bad day. Everything had gone wrong. I felt that familiar, heavy blanket of grief pressing down on me, and I just needed to feel close to her. I went to my room. I went to the dresser. I opened the cedar jewelry box. and it was empty. I stared, just stared. The velvet lining where the locket always rested was bare. No, 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 no. I tore the box apart. I dumped its contents onto the bed. Old earrings, a broken watch, but no locket. My blood ran cold. I searched the room, my hands shaking. Under the dresser, in the drawers, under the bed, it was gone. "Marcus!" I screamed his name, a raw, primal sound. He was in his study. He walked into the bedroom, an annoyed look on his face. "What, Alara? I'm on a call." "The locket," I said, my voice trembling. "My mother's locket. It's gone. It's gone." His face. It didn't show surprise. It didn't show concern. It showed nothing. A cold, flat blankness. "What are you talking about?" he said. "It's gone, Marcus. Did you move it? Did a cleaner come?" "I gave the cleaner the week off, remember?" "Alara, calm down. It's just a locket. It'll turn up. You probably misplaced it." "I did not misplace it. I never move it. It is always in this box." He sighed, a long, theatrical, put-upon sound. "For God's sake, Alara, are you going to have a breakdown over a $20 piece of junk? It's probably fallen behind the dresser. I'm busy." He turned to walk away. The coldness of it hit me like a slap. "You're lying," I whispered. He stopped. He turned back slowly. "What did you say?" You know where it is. I can see it on your face." He laughed, a short, bark-like laugh that was more of a sneer. "You're delusional. You're obsessed with your dead mother and a piece of scrap metal. You need help." He left the room. And I knew. As surely as I knew my own name, I knew he had taken it. But why? To sell it? It was worthless. To punish me? I didn't sleep for a week. I followed him. I hired a private investigator with the last of my personal savings. The money my mother had left me in a separate account he didn't know about. The investigator's report came back in 2 days. It was a single manila envelope. Inside were photographs. Marcus, laughing, kissing a woman who was not me. She was young, tall, all blonde hair and sharp angles. My heart hammered in my chest, but it wasn't the kiss that made me stop breathing. It was what was around her neck. Gleaming under the dim lights of the bar, resting on her collarbone, was my mother's locket. I was going to be sick. He hadn't just stolen it. He hadn't just sold it. He had given it. He had taken the one sacred piece of my mother, and he had put it around the neck of his lover. The investigator had included a name, Jenna, an intern at his firm. I don't remember making the decision. I only remember driving. I drove to his office, the office my mother had built. I walked past the receptionist. I walked down the hall to his corner office. Through the glass wall, I saw them. She was perched on his desk, laughing. He was standing between her legs. I opened the door. They froze. Marcus's face went from lust to shock, to pure, unadulterated rage. "Alara, what the hell are you doing here?" Jenna, she just smiled. A slow, smug, poisonous smile. She didn't even move. My voice was a dead whisper. "Get out, both of you." Marcus actually laughed. "Alara, you are not going to embarrass me. Go home, now. We will discuss your episode later." "My episode?" I said. My eyes were locked on the locket. It looked obscene on her. "You give her that. You monster." Jenna hopped off the desk. She was taller than me by a head. She walked right up to me. "This?" she said, her voice a high, mocking coo. She flicked the locket with a long red fingernail. "Oh, this old thing? Marcus gave it to me. He said it was his crazy wife's junk, but I just love vintage." She leaned in, her voice dropping. "He told me all about you, the sad little mouse crying over her mommy. It's pathetic." I snapped. I don't know what came over me. I lunged. I grabbed the locket from her neck. The chain snapped. I stumbled back, clutching it in my fist. Ah! Jenna shrieked. She assaulted me. Marcus, she assaulted me. Marcus grabbed my arm, his fingers digging in like claws. You are insane, he hissed. Security, get her out of here. He ripped the locket from my hand. I wasn't strong enough to stop him. You see this, Jenna? You see what I have to live with? He held it up. Ah! I don't even want it anymore, Jenna shrieked. It's probably cursed. It's as cold and dead as her mother. And then she did something I will never forget. She grabbed it from his hand, and she threw it at me. It hit my chest with a dull thud and fell to the floor. Here, have your trash. Marcus is buying me a real necklace, a diamond one. Aren't you, baby? Security guards were there. They were pulling me toward the door. Marcus didn't look at me. He was already comforting Jenna, stroking her hair. It's okay, baby. It's okay. The crazy woman is gone. I was escorted out of my own mother's building, humiliated, broken. I walked to my car in a daze. It wasn't until I was halfway home that I realized my fist was still clenched. I opened it. The locket. In the chaos, when she threw it, I must have caught it or picked it up. I don't even remember, but it was there, warm from my hand. I pulled over and I sat on the side of the road holding my mother's desecrated locket, and I wept. I wept for my mother. I wept for my marriage. I wept for my own stupidity. I thought that was my lowest point. I thought that was the end. It was, in fact, the beginning. I sat in my car for hours. The sun set. The streetlights came on. I just sat, numb. The locket was a hard, cold weight in my palm. I had lost everything. My husband, my dignity, my company. He would divorce me. He would take the 50%. He and that woman would live in my mother's house. I finally drove home. The house was empty, of course. He would be with her. I went to my room. I sat on the floor of my closet in the dark, and I cried until my throat was raw. I was rubbing the locket, turning it over and over, my thumb tracing the familiar engraved flowers. I'd done it 1,000,000 times before, but this time was different. My thumb caught on something, a tiny seam, a line so fine I had never seen it before. My crying stopped. I held it up to the moonlight, a seam. I pressed it with my fingernail. Click. A sound so soft I thought I'd imagined it. The back of the locket. It hadn't just opened at the hinge. The entire back had popped open. It was a false bottom. My mother, my simple, sentimental mother, had a locket with a secret compartment. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely see. Inside, there was no fading sepia-toned picture. There was only a single, tiny, strangely cut key. And underneath it, a tiny, tightly rolled piece of paper. I fumbled with it. I unrolled it. It was my mother's handwriting, her familiar, sharp accountant's script. It wasn't a letter. It was a 5-word sentence. If you are reading this, go to Thorne. Thorne. Not Harrison, not the cold family lawyer. Thorne. Alistair Thorne. He was an old friend of my mother's, her college debate partner, the only man, she'd joked, who could ever keep up with me. A new feeling was rising in my chest, a hot, sharp feeling that burned away the tears. It wasn't grief. It wasn't sadness. It was rage. It was 3 a.m. I didn't care. I found the number. I called it. A sleepy, gravelly voice answered. Hello? Mr. Thorne? Alistair Thorne? Yes, who is this? It's Alara, Eleanor's daughter. I'm sorry to call so late, but my mother, she left me a note. She said to come to you. I found a key. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Then the gravelly voice was suddenly wide awake, sharp, focused. Alara, I've been waiting for this call for 2 years. Where are you? Are you safe? I'm at home. My husband, Your husband is not your friend, Alara. I need you to listen to me very, very carefully. Do not speak to him. Do not tell him what you have found. Pack a bag. Go to the old motel on Route 7, the King's Rest. Pay in cash. Lock the door. I will be there at 9 a.m. Do you understand me? Yes, but do you understand me, Alara? Your mother, she was a very smart woman, and she was right to be afraid. He hung up. I was terrified, but for the first time in my life, I did exactly as I was told, without question. I packed a bag, I took my personal bank card, and I drove to the King's Rest. I didn't sleep. At 9 a.m. on the dot, there was a knock. Alistair Thorne looked older, his hair white, but his eyes were the same, sharp, piercing blue. He held a worn leather briefcase. "Alara," he said, skipping all pleasantries, "let's get to work. Show me the key." I handed it to him. He nodded. "Good. Now, I'm going to tell you a story, and you are not to interrupt me." We sat at the cheap laminate table in that dingy motel room, and he told me everything. "Your mother was a genius, Alara, but you know that. What you don't know is that she was also a realist. She loved you, and she did not trust Marcus, not one bit. He was too smooth, too charming, too interested in her finances. He explained that my mother had been diagnosed with her illness 6 months before she told anyone. In that 6 months, she didn't just get her affairs in order. She set a trap. That will Mr. Harrison read? The 50-50 split? That was a fake, a performance. Your mother drafted it, dated it, and left it where she knew Marcus would find it. She wanted him to feel secure. She wanted him to get greedy. But why? Because she was already building a case against him. Your mother's firm, Marcus wasn't just managing it, Alara. He was gutting it. He'd been siphoning money for over a year. He was running a shadow set of books. He thought he was brilliant. He just wasn't as brilliant as your mother. I couldn't breathe. She knew? She knew he was stealing from her? She knew, and she suspected the affair. She found the theft, though, and she was methodical. He tapped the key I had given him. This key opens a safe deposit box at my bank. Inside, your mother left 3 things. First, her real will. Second, a complete ledger of every single fraudulent transaction Marcus has made. And third, a USB drive containing every email and recording she'd gathered proving his conspiracy. Alistair stood up. Your mother's real will is very simple. It leaves 100% of her estate to you, her daughter, with one clause. What clause? It states that in the event of your marriage to Marcus Allen, this will is to be executed only upon your divorce or upon presentation of criminal charges against him. She was protecting you. She knew he would try to take everything, so she left him nothing. I was silent. My mind was reeling. My kind, loving, sentimental mother was a ruthless, brilliant strategist. She had seen everything. What do we do?" I finally asked. Alistair Thorne smiled. It was a cold, sharp, terrifying smile. "What do we do? We let the rat finish the maze. Marcus thinks he's about to get half of everything. He's going to file for divorce. We are going to let him. We are going to let him get arrogant. And then, at the very last second, we are going to burn his entire world to the ground." The next 2 weeks were the hardest of my life. I had to become an actress. I had to become a liar. I had to become my mother's daughter. I returned home as Alistair instructed. Marcus was there, waiting. He had already packed a suitcase. "Ilara," he began, his voice dripping with false sympathy. I can't do this anymore. You're unstable. What you did at my office, I can't live like that. I want a divorce." This was it, the script. I let my face crumple. I sobbed. "No, Marcus, please. It was the shock. I'll get help. Please, don't leave me." He flinched, disgusted by my weakness. "It's too late, Ilara. I've already spoken to Mr. Harrison. We'll We'll just split everything 50-50, just as your mother wanted. It will be clean. I'll even let you have the house, if you buy me out." "Buy you out?" I whispered, playing the part of the confused mouse. "Yes, half the value of the house, half the company, half the portfolio. It's what's fair." He was going to make me pay him for the privilege of being cheated on and humiliated. "Okay," I whispered. "Okay, Marcus, whatever you want." The look of relief on his face was sickening. He thought I was broken. He thought he had won. "Good," he said, patting my shoulder. "That's a good girl. I'll have Harrison draw up the papers. We'll meet at his office on Friday to finalize the asset division." He left, and he left with a spring in his step. The next few days were a blur. Alistair Thorne was a whirlwind. He filed the real will with the probate court, under seal. He contacted the district attorney's office with the fraud evidence. He had them wait. He was coordinating everything. Friday came. I dressed carefully. I wore a simple black dress. I looked pale. I looked defeated. I walked into Mr. Harrison's conference room. It was worse than I imagined. Marcus was there, looking tan and smug in a new suit. His mother, a horrible vulture-like woman named Mildred, was there, grinning, and Jenna was there. She was sitting next her hand large, it looked fake. She looked me up and down, a smirk playing on her lips. "Ilara," Marcus said, not even standing, "glad you could make it. We just want this to be amicable." "Yes," Jenna added, her voice like syrup. "We all just want to move on." Mr. Harrison cleared his throat and slid the papers across the table. "As per the will of Eleanor Vance, the estate is to be divided equally. Your signature's here, Ilara." I held up my hand. "Stop!" The room went silent. Marcus sighed. "Ilara, don't do this. Don't make a scene. Just sign the papers." "You're right, Marcus," I said. My voice was clear. It wasn't shaking. "I shouldn't make a scene, but there seems to be a mistake." "Mistake?" Harrison scoffed. "The will is ironclad, Mrs. Allen." "Is it?" I said. The conference room door opened. Alistair Thorne walked in. He was carrying his old, worn briefcase. "Mr. Harrison, I believe you are mistaken," Alistair said, his voice booming. "You are attempting to execute an invalid will." Marcus shot to his feet. "Who the hell are you? Get out of here. This is a private meeting." "I am Alistair Thorne," he said, placing his briefcase on the table with a loud thud. "I was the sole legal counsel for Eleanor Vance for the last 10 years, and this," he pulled out a thick, bound document, "is her actual last will and testament, filed and sealed with the probate court 2 years ago to be opened on this exact day." Harrison's face went white. Mildred's jaw dropped. Marcus just stared. That's not possible." "Oh, it's very possible," Alistair said. He began to read. He read the legal jargon, and then he read the key clause. "I leave my entire estate, including my company, my properties, and my personal effects, 100% to my beloved daughter, Ilara Vance. My husband, Marcus Allen, is to receive nothing." Jenna shrieked. "Nothing? This is fraud," Marcus roared. "She would never. She loved me. She left us the 50-50 will." "Ah, yes, the trap will," Alistair said, smiling. "A brilliant little piece of theater, wasn't it, to see if the rat would take the cheese? And you did, Marcus. You really, truly did." I'll sue. I'll contest it. I'm the CEO. I built that company for the last 2 years." "About that," I said, speaking for the first time. I stood up. I walked to the head of the table. I pulled a small silver USB drive from my pocket. "My mother was a better accountant than you, Marcus," I said, plugging it in. The screen flickered to life. It wasn't a spreadsheet. It was a video. It was a recording from my mother's home office. "I don't care what it takes," his voice snarled. "Move the funds to the Cayman account. The old woman is sick. She'll never even know." The screen split. Now it showed bank ledgers, offshore accounts, falsified invoices, a complete detailed roadmap of his embezzlement. Jenna was staring at the screen. You told me you made that money in the market. You're a thief?" "Shut up!" Marcus lunged for the monitor, but the door opened again. This time it wasn't a lawyer. It was 2 police detectives. "Marcus Allen," the lead detective said. Marcus froze. He looked from me to Alistair to the police. The trap had closed. "We have a warrant for your arrest, on charges of grand larceny, wire fraud, and embezzlement." "This is insane!" Marcus's mother Mildred shrieked. "You can't do this! He's a good boy." "He's a criminal, madam," Alistair said, "and a very, very stupid one." As the detectives cuffed Marcus, he never took his eyes off me. His face was a mask of pure demonic hatred. "You bitch," he spat. "You did this. You scheming bitch." Jenna was backing away, grabbing her purse. "I had nothing to do with this. I didn't know. I'm a victim here." "You'll be hearing from my lawyer, miss," Alistair said to her pleasantly. "Every gift, every vacation, every diamond he bought you with stolen money, we're clawing it all back, with interest." Her face crumpled. She wasn't beautiful anymore. She just looked cheap and terrified. The police were leading Marcus out. He was still screaming. As he passed me, I held up my hand. Clutched in my fist was the locket. I held it up for him to see. "You were right, Marcus," I said, my voice quiet and clear. "It's just a worthless piece of junk. But my mother, she always knew how to hide her valuables." His scream of rage echoed down the hall as they dragged him away. It's been 1 year. I am writing this from the deck of my house, my mother's house. I've spent the last 6 months cleaning. Not just the closets, but the company. With Alistair Thorne as my advisor, we've rebuilt it. It's stronger and more honest than ever. I'm the CEO now. It turns out my mother's sentimental daughter had a head for numbers after all. Marcus was convicted. The evidence was so overwhelming the trial lasted 6 hours. He'll be in prison for at least 10 years. His mother Mildred lost her social standing and had to sell her home to pay her legal bills. And Jenna? She had to auction off her diamonds, her car, and her designer bags to pay back the money. I heard she's working as a receptionist at a mid-level firm. The house is quiet now, but it's not a cold quiet. It's a peaceful one. I've filled it with flowers from my garden. I am, for the first time in my life, completely and truly on my own, and I am not afraid. I'm wearing the locket. I had the chain repaired. I wear it every day. I opened the secret compartment and removed the key, and I replaced it with a tiny new picture, a photo of my mother smiling. She taught me so many lessons, but the final one was the most important. She taught me that true strength isn't about being hard. It's about knowing your own value, even when those around you are too blind to see it.